Have you ever noticed how a good chat with a friend can lift your spirits for days? Maybe you've felt it, that little spark of joy after sharing a laugh over coffee, or reminiscing about old times with someone who just gets it. But here's something you might not know. Those moments aren't just good for your mood. They could actually add years to your life. You see, scientists have spent decades studying people who've lived to 100 and beyond. And guess what they found? It's not just about eating your veggies or moving your body, though those things matter too. The real secret? Staying connected. Centenarians around the world have one thing in common. They've built lives rich with relationships. And today, we're going to talk about how they did it, and how you can too. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Easier said than done. Maybe you've lost touch with old friends over the years, or it feels harder to get out and meet new people. But here's the good news. Building meaningful connections doesn't require a packed social calendar or being the life of the party. It's about small, consistent habits that fit into your life. The kind that'll make you wonder, why didn't I start this sooner? Let's start with the first habit, one that might seem simple, but packs a powerful punch. Habit number 1. Prioritize face-to-face connections. Now, I'm not talking about scrolling through family photos on your phone, though that's nice too. I mean real, in-person time. Think about it. When was the last time you sat across from someone and talked about nothing and everything all at once? That's the magic scientists call social nourishment. It lowers stress, boosts immunity, and even sharpens your mind. Take my neighbor Margaret. She's 94 and still hosts Tea and Talk Tuesdays every week. Rain or shine, 3 friends come over, and they've been doing it for 20 years. Margaret says it's her weekly dose of medicine. And guess what? Her doctor agrees. You don't need a big crowd, just 1 or 2 people you can be real with. Try this. Next time you're at the grocery store, strike up a conversation with the clerk who always remembers your name. Invite that neighbor who walks their dog past your house to sit on the porch for 10 minutes. These little moments, they add up to something big. Habit number 2. Find your tribe. Now, this isn't about joining every club in town. It's about finding your people. Maybe it's a knitting circle, a volunteer group, or even a weekly crossword puzzle team. The key? Shared interests create instant bonds. Let me tell you about Frank. At 88, he joined a woodworking class at his local senior center, not because he loved carpentry, but because he'd felt lonely since his wife passed. Fast forward a year. He's teaching kids how to build birdhouses, and he's got a waiting list for his famous rocking chairs. The beauty of finding your tribe? It gives you a reason to get up and out. It's not just about the activity. It's about showing up for each other. Not sure where to start? Think back to what you loved years ago. Always wanted to paint? Check out a local art class. Miss singing? Choirs are full of friendly faces. And if mobility's a challenge, many groups meet online too. Now, these first 2 habits, face-to-face connections and finding your tribe, they're like planting seeds in a garden. Water them consistently, and before you know it, you'll have a whole community blooming around you. And the best part? You're not just adding years to your life. You're adding life to your years. You know, one of the most beautiful things about connection is how it grows when we share it. Think about a time someone's kindness lifted you up. Maybe a stranger's smile on a tough day, or a grandchild's tight hug. Those moments don't just stay with you. They ripple outward. And that brings us to our next habit, straight from the playbook of centenarians who've mastered the art of living fully. Habit number 3. Give back, even in small everyday ways. Now, I'm not talking about running a marathon for charity, unless that's your thing. This is about finding little ways to contribute that light you up as much as they help others. Studies show that seniors who volunteer regularly have lower rates of depression, sharper minds, and even better physical health. But here's the kicker. It's not about how much you give. It's about how it makes you feel connected. Take Clara, a 91-year-old from Arizona. After her husband passed, she started baking cookies every Sunday for her apartment complex's front desk staff. Just a dozen cookies a week. But those treats turned into conversations, then friendships. And now? She's the cookie grandma to half the neighborhood. She says, "It's not charity, it's company. You've got a lifetime of skills and stories to share." Maybe it's tutoring a teen in something you're passionate about. Cooking, history, even car repair. Or writing encouraging notes for new residents at your retirement community. Even something as simple as complimenting someone's garden on your daily walk. When you focus on giving, you'll find people show up in your life in ways you never expected. Habit number 4. Bridge the generations. Here's a secret. Young people are starving for what you have to offer. Wisdom, patience, stories that make history come alive. And guess what? Spending time with younger generations isn't just good for them. It's like a fountain of youth for you. Research proves it. Seniors with strong intergenerational relationships have better memory retention and a more positive outlook on life. Let me introduce you to Sam. At 87, he felt out of step with the new world, until his grandkids signed him up to teach a history through music class at their high school. Now, he's using his old jazz records to teach kids about the civil rights era. "Those kids keep me curious," he says. "They ask questions that make me see my own life in a whole new way." You don't need grandkids to do this. Offer to mentor someone at your church or community center. Join a story exchange program at the local library. Or even strike up a conversation with that barista who's always wearing band t-shirts. Ask them to recommend new music. The goal isn't to be hip, it's to stay open. When you mix the energy of youth with the wisdom of age, something magical happens. You'll feel more relevant, more alive, and you'll leave a legacy that lives on in the hearts of others. Now, these habits, giving back and bridging generations, they're like adding fresh ingredients to a recipe you've been perfecting your whole life. They keep things flavorful, unexpected, alive. But there's one last habit that ties all these together. A simple daily practice that centenarians swear by. You know, when I asked my friend Rosa, a spry 102-year-old who still tends this garden every morning, what her secret was, she said something I'll never forget. "Honey, it's not about living longer. It's about loving deeper." And that brings us to our final habit, the one that weaves all the others together. Habit number 5. Create daily rituals of connection. Now, this isn't about grand gestures. It's the small, intentional moments that say, "I'm here." Rosa starts every day by waving to her neighbor across the fence. Just a wave. But that tiny ritual led to shared tomatoes from each other's gardens, then Sunday suppers, and now, they're like family. Scientists call these micro-connections, little acts that keep relationships alive even when life gets quiet. They're the glue that holds everything else in place. And here's the best part. You get to decide what they look like. Maybe it's a 5-minute call with your sister every evening, or texting a photo of your garden to your grandson. Even something as simple as smiling at the same cashier every week. These rituals become anchors, for you and for others. Henry there? He's been doing this for 15 years. Rain or shine, he says, if I show up, they will too. And they do. Some days he has crowds. Some days just one lonely teenager. But he always says, one connection is enough to keep the world turning. So there you have it. 5 habits straight from those who've lived full, vibrant lives. Face-to-face time, finding your tribe, giving back, bridging generations, and those precious daily rituals. But here's the truth. These aren't really separate habits. They're threads in the same beautiful tapestry. Every time you choose connection, whether it's a conversation or a quiet wave, you're telling the world, I'm still here, and I see you too. That's how we keep loneliness at bay. That's how we add life to our years, and years to our lives. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What's one small ritual you'll try this week? Share it in the comments. Inspire someone else with your courage. And if this resonated with you, pass it along to a friend. We're all in this together, after all. Thank you for spending this time with me. Keep blooming where you're planted, my friends. Here's to your next chapter. May it be your brightest yet.